Week 4 of VCT Americas Stage 2 2025 has concluded, so it's time to do yet another weekly power rankings. For those that don't know, I do weekly power rankings for the Americas region movie teams up and down based off of their most recent performance. So with a pretty interesting weekend that we just had with some playoff spots being locked up, it's time to talk about where these teams are sitting. So this is the board we have today. We will be starting from number 12 going to number 1. And at the number 12 spot, no change from last week. Furia is still here. Part of me was thinking about doing a bit of having like an even lower rank from number 12 because this team looks genuinely abysmal, atrocious, any negative word that you can think of, this team is that. They're just straight up bad, and they're not bad in a fun way. They even let Baby Bay get an ace, so in terms of losing to G2, it's not that big of a deal. It's G2, but letting Baby Bay ace you, like, you know, it's just, there's really not much to say about Furia at this point. It just feels bad, man. That's all there is. Moving on to the number 11 spot, also no change from last week. We have 2Game. So 2Game got their first win of the stage against Furia and then had to play C9 this past weekend, and it did not go well for them, winning 8 rounds total, losing map 1 13-1, getting destroyed on that bind map and not finding much more success on Lotus. And it is really a shame that we didn't see this team really improve all that much during this stage. With Spike coming in, there was hope that maybe this team could end up being a bit more competitive. There is technically a chance that this team can make playoffs, but they have to beat Sentinels to do it, and I really don't think that Sentinels, a team that has been at the top of these power rankings for every single week this stage, is going to get embarrassed by a team like 2Game. I really just don't see that happening. So it is looking like 2Game's year is basically over, and I know there wasn't a lot expected of this team, but it is just disappointing to see them not get that improvement with Spike coming in. Spike has been okay, but not fantastic. Moving on to the number 10 spot, moving down 1 spot from where they were last week, we have Evil Geniuses. EG has been another team that I've been pretty disappointed in this stage. After a pretty solid performance in stage 1 that saw them getting top 4 in those playoffs, I was hoping that we would see some improvement from this team, but they've looked pretty out of sorts this entire stage. Only getting 1 win so far, so they have the same record as 2Game, but they do end their stage against Furia, so I would hope they would be able to win that one. That would be really embarrassing if they didn't, but it is still looking like this team is going to be in playoffs, and I think they're going to enter playoffs as the worst team in the entire bracket. Group Alpha has been pretty much set in stone for at least 2 weeks now, while Group Omega is just a complete mess. Incredibly competitive group there. Group Alpha, Evil Geniuses are kind of just getting lucky with the fact that there are 2 teams in their group that have been pretty terrible this entire year. And their game this week was against Sentinels, so a team losing to Sentinels, I usually don't move them down, especially because Sentinels have been at the top. But EG just did not seem to have a lot of fight in them, and they got destroyed. Losing Lotus, your best map all year, 13-8, and then losing Kuro, 13-4. That is just not a performance that is going to cut it when you make it to the playoff bracket. I see having a terrible game on that Kuro, only getting 5 kills. That's another player on this team that I've been disappointed by this year. Just really wanting him to bounce back, and he just hasn't found any groove really. Ye seems to be shooting well, but he can't save this team alone. It is just an unfortunate situation with EG, and I just don't know where I see it going anymore. Moving on to the number 9 spot, we have a team moving up 1 spot from where they were last week, and that is Loud. So Loud do lose their match this week against 100 Thieves, but it was a 3-map game where they did dominate on map 1, and then lost map 3 in overtime. So even though both Loud and Evil Geniuses lost their matches, I thought EG's was bad enough for me to move them down, whereas Loud get to move up because it was a very hard-fought match. And with Loud this year, I can't help but feel bad for them. The performance in Stage 2 is looking very similar to how it looked in Stage 1, at least in this one they got a win, but a lot of the matches look very similar. They'll look pretty good, they'll have a good map, they'll even win a map, then they'll almost win another one, but then they just end up crumbling in the end. So while this team, even throughout the year, has performed overall fine, the results have not matched it. That ability to close out games just is not there for this team, no matter what version of it you're looking at. So many games this year have gone that way for this team. So while after they won that map 1 against 100 Thieves, I was really rooting for them to win that one, and then it just kind of ends up crumbling in the end. I could be wrong, but I think there's technically still a chance they make it to playoffs. They need to beat MIBR for their last match, and then they need Leviathan to lose, because that's the only team that they have a head-to-head matchup against that is in the top 4 of playoffs. But I'm really not expecting them to make it. Leviton do look pretty good, and MIBR can at least be going for that champs point. It's just been disappointment after disappointment for this team, and it looks like this year is coming to an end for them pretty soon. Moving on, we have another Brazilian team at number 8, moving down 1 spot from where they were last week. We have MIBR. So MIBR have that amazing bounce back game versus 100 Thieves, beating that game 2-0. Then they had to face off against Energy this past weekend, and they ended up losing that one as well. And it wasn't a bad loss. It's not really a loss that I can really be mad at because they kind of just got outclassed in the end. They did play really well on Lotus, a map that has been a struggle for them this year, but they ended up blowing that lead after they were up 8-4 at the half, and then Energy was just able to pick up the momentum from there. And then on Bind, they couldn't do what they did against 100 Thieves and come back in that one, even though it looked like they could do it. Esports was playing pretty well, Cortezia was continuing his strong run, but the rest of the team, not really that much there. If you compare that loss to the losses they had early in this stage where they just got destroyed, if they had been losing like how they lost against 100 Thieves in those early games, I wouldn't be that mad at them because at least they're trying. But in those early games, everything just fell apart and it just looked abysmal. And now it's tanked their whole season. They are not making playoffs. They're mathematically eliminated. And that's what happens when you lose those head-to-head matchups. It's really unfortunate. They've lost to both Crew and Leviton, and those are the only teams that could realistically drop out of playoffs. Not that they're going to. I don't think either of those teams end up missing it, but for MIBR, while yes, it was a loss that I can't be too mad at, there are still some glaring problems. Verno's performance has dropped off a cliff. He has looked terrible, and I know he's IGLing now, but his IGLing is not getting this team wins. And if you think about it, their only win this season against 100 Thieves was basically due to 2 conditions. 1, playing Icebox, their best map, and then 2, Cortezia having a god game to be able to come back in map 2. If even one of those things does not happen, then MIBR probably lose that match. That is how I'm feeling about this team right now. Ospas has bounced back, but too little too late. Cortezia heating up as well, too little too late. It's just so unfortunate. This team can still make champs despite the fact they won't be in playoffs. They need to get that champions point against Loud, so they still have something to fight for. So I really hope that we see this team act like it. I do find it unlikely that they're going to make it to champions. They have lost their lead on the champs points race pretty significantly, so I really don't know. And if they make it to champs, who knows? They might just have another abysmal performance, so why even bother? Moving on to the number 7 spot, moving up 1 spot from where they were last week, we have C9. C9 seems to be the team that I get the most debate about in the comment section, and it really is a pretty wide spectrum of what people think. Either I have this team too low, I saw people saying that they should be top 3, which personally I think is completely wrong and incredibly ridiculous, and there are a lot of people like me who are doubters of this team, and that's really where I'm at with them. They do move up 1 spot in these power rankings, not because they beat 2 game. I don't really give teams points for beating 2 game, but MIBR did drop down, so C9 move up because of that. But again, I'm not really giving this team flowers for beating 2 game. Yes, they dominated, but most teams have dominated 2 game this year. So I don't know. The only real test they've had this entire stage was against Sentinels, and they lost that one. Now they're going to face off against G2, and if they still have Baby Bay, then maybe they have a chance, but even with Baby Bay, G2 has looked really good. I don't really see C9 winning this one, and what that tells me is that, yeah, they can beat teams below them. They can dominate a 2 game of Furia and Evil Geniuses. But when it comes to being a top dog in the region, when they face those teams, they don't seem to win very often. And even if they do, it doesn't seem to be when it really counts. So yes, they're going to be in playoffs, but how far do they really go? I am not foreseeing a long run for this team. But hey, maybe they can heat up. Maybe Oxy and Vic can have just amazing playoffs. There is a chance, but if history is to be believed, probably not going to go their way. Moving on to the number 6 spot, moving down 3 spots from where they were last week, we have Crew. So last week I had Crew at the number 3 spot, and I did get comments about that placement saying that they were way overrated. It was criminal for me to put them there, but even in the video, if you listen to what I was saying, I said it was a very shaky placement. I really just didn't know what other team to put there because teams that were in that same placement of the power ranking lost, whereas Crew did win, and was like, well, maybe they can bounce back and maybe they can count as third this week, but I didn't really foresee them maintaining that position. And that is exactly what happened. They ended up losing to Leviathan after having a pretty good map 1, where they didn't lose a single round in the second half, just dominating on their attack side on Bind. And then they had an 8-4 lead on Haven, and then they blew it. Leviathan with an extremely solid defense side on that map. And then on Ascent, they lost 13-4, Leviathan not giving them any ground there. So they lose the El Clasico matchup, and I really just don't know what to make of this team right now. It seemed like this might have been a really good meta for them, bringing in Dante Deus with the double duelist comps being very in right now. And it took them a while to try it, and then they tried it, and there's been mixed results. So I really don't know. It just kind of feels like this team's kind of playing catch up a bit. But hey, they've made it to every single champ so far, so maybe they end up going on a run and making it there. They're not in the worst position when it comes to champs points either, so they have a shot, and if history is to be believed, they're gonna be there. But even if they make it there, just like past years where they've made it there after having a miracle run and they just don't do anything at champs, is that gonna happen again? I would believe that to be the likely outcome, but we will see if, hey, this might be a different year. Moving on to the number 5 spot, we have a team moving down 1 spot from where they were last week, and that is 100 Thieves. So 100 Thieves have a really close and uncomfortable game against Loud, where they do end up winning it in map 3 overtime, but they lost map 1 13-2, just getting destroyed on Sunset. They were able to bounce back on Bind, a map that has been up and down for them this year. That's to say the least. But they win that one, and then they win Lotus 14-12, so incredibly close game there. So I wouldn't really move them down from the number 4 spot if it wasn't for other teams moving above them. I felt like out of the 2 other teams that are in the 3 and 4 spots, that they had the least impressive win of the 3, so I moved them down, moved the other teams up. 100 Thieves, they still look pretty good. I can see this team maybe going on a run. There's some good things there, but I do think that beating Loud and having it be as tough as it was, that isn't a sign to me that this team is in peak form or anything. So we'll see how playoffs goes for them. I think if Cryo, Kess, and Asana can really just hit a stride, then this team could have a pretty good chance of making it champs. Moving on to the number 4 spot, moving up 2 spots from where they were last week, we have Leviathan. I love what I saw from Leviathan this week, and I've continuously getting more and more impressed by them. After starting their stage with a close loss against Loud, they were able to bounce back and destroy MIBR. Then they had that close one against Energy, but ended up losing that, and then they go down against Crew. Regional rivals, even though this team isn't really a LATAM team anymore. They lose that first map, they go down in the second map, but then they make that comeback. And they did it really well, just dominating on that Ascent map. Love what I've seen from them. Sato looks absolutely amazing right now. Okeanos also seems like a really good addition. Kane is in great form right now. He's been one of the best players in the entire Americas this stage. A lot is going well for this team. So while they were in danger of having a record of 1-3, they were able to weather the storm and beat Crew, and now they have a very good chance of staying in playoffs. Whether or not they go on a run and make it to champs, I don't find that very likely. But hey, if Sato can just go on a god run, this team could do something. This is a team that does kind of look like a dark horse. While they won't beat every single team, they can get the upset here and there. And they have some elements of teams that have gone on runs before. So I do see some light at the end of the tunnel for them. Is it super bright? Not yet, but we will see what they can end up doing. I do like this team. I like what I've seen from them lately. We'll see how strong this run really can be. Moving on to the number 3 spot, moving up 2 spots as well, we have Energy. So Energy was another team that people in my comment section wanted me to move up higher, but I have done this intentionally with this team. I didn't move them up too high, even when it could have been justified. I started them pretty low during stage 2 because their stage 1 performance does carry over for me. I do continuous power rankings. So even though they had those roster changes and they looked better at Esports World Cup, I still wanted to see some continuous progression. So while I didn't move them up drastically over previous wins, now they're at the number 3 spot. And that's because they looked amazing. Mada is on fire right now. Might be the best duelist in the Americas, at least right now. Having just an absolute god game on that map 2 against MIBR. Making some super sick, super smart plays that ended up getting them that win. Som is looking amazing right now. Ethan's calling. Maybe it's been helped by Bonkar as the coach. That seems to be the case. Brock could be doing better right now, but he's not hurting the team or anything. So while this team did start off with a rough loss to start the stage, they have since bounced back and they've shown that they're able to push through adversity and come back from a deficit. I really like what I've seen from this team. Scuba seems to be getting more comfortable as well. This team, they're in playoffs. Do they go on a run? I think statistically they have to like get at least top 3 in that playoff bracket. If they can get top 2, then they can just confirm that spot. Then they don't need to worry about champs points, but I don't know if I see them getting top 2. But hey, they could do it. They have a lot more to fight than the teams that are above them on the power rankings. I like what I've seen from this team. I think the roster changes have worked out. I think bringing Bonkar back as the coach seems like it's been the good decision. And it just makes you think, how well could have this year gone for them if this is the roster that they started the year with? We will never know, but right now, all that matters is getting the champs. So we'll see if they can do it. Moving on to the number 2 spot. No change from last week. G2's still here. Baby Bay's improving. He got an ace. That was pretty sick. They demolished Furia. Pretty easy work there. And they also looked better on Corrode, but again, hard to tell because it's Furia. While this team is still playing with the sub, and I do hope Leaf comes back as soon as possible. Apparently he has been scrimming with the team, so that's good to see. But scrimming is different from actual games, so we'll see if he can get some reps in before the stage is over. I feel like they might just end up bringing him back for playoffs, let Baby Bay have fun on the stage for the regular season. I don't really know what the plan is for G2, aside from heat up 4 champions, and that seems like what they're doing. And yeah, they've looked great. But a team that has looked better and has looked more impressive, Sentinels are still at number 1. Sentinels have been here for basically the entirety of Stage 2, being helped by the fact that G2 don't have their full roster right now. But they've won every game this stage, they've dominated their opponents, and this week their victims were Evil Geniuses, so pretty light work there. Yes, most if not all of their opponents have been pretty easy pickings, but what's even more impressive is the fact that they have not lost more than 9 rounds in a map since that game against G2. No team in their group, aside from G2, has been able to get to double-digit round wins against them. That is how good this team is looking right now. Again, easy opponents, at least in comparison, but still, they are dominating. They're looking really good. They beat the other best team in their group in G2, and now they have a very easy match against 2Game. They're already in champs. They have that locked down now, so they can do similar things to what G2 is doing, but I do think they're looking to win the entire Americas in Stage 2. They have a really good shot at it. I do genuinely believe that this team is looking like the best team in the region right now, and if they win the whole bracket, are you really going to be surprised? We will see. It's going to be a very interesting playoff bracket. We're not there yet. We still have 1 more week, but I do have a lot of confidence in the way that's on our plan right now. It's been very good. That is all I got to talk about today. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think of these rankings? Where would you have each team? Where am I wrong? Where am I right? Let me know all that and more. Please click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.